my beautiful little unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that I've been given the pleasure to welcome you onto my channel, I'm Vanessa and I, and welcome to the fam. Hey guys, today's reading is all about November of 2019. So I have your monthly prediction ready for you and 4 groups that you may choose from. In this month's prediction, we're going to be talking about the overall vibe of the month. We're going to be delving into your family life, your health, what is going on with your finances, the opportunities as well as difficulties that November is going to present for you. So the following crystals are going to help guide you for the month of November. We have the red Jasper, we have the black Tourmaline, we have the Amethyst, as well as the tiger eye. But as usual, you guys, the timestamps will be down below in the description box, as well as in the comment section. So you can just click your corresponding timestamp and fast forward to your reading. And I just wanted to put it out there that if you cannot make your mind up between multiple groups, please do not panic. Know that sometimes you need a little more guidance. And if that is the case for you, then please feel free to tune into multiple readings. And sometimes you just cannot make your mind up because your perfect reading is in fact a mixture between multiple groups. So do not deny yourself of tuning into multiple readings if you feel like that will have you be more at ease and more prepared for November. So you guys, my space is cleansed and saged, my cards are ready and purified, and I have some lovely amethyst infused water. I mean, we are all ready and set to go within the reading, so I don't want to spend more time just in the intro. I want to get straight into it, and I'm going to be starting off with the first group, which corresponds to the red Jasper. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the red Jasper. Group number 1, I want to get straight into your reading about November of 2019 for you. So this is a very intuitive and interactive reading. So sit back or relax, grab a little tea, grab a little snack, and let's get right into it. So first and foremost, we have prosperity. So I definitely see prosperity coming into your life in November. And prosperity could basically be you just reaping the rewards of what you've sown a long time ago. So maybe you've been working on something for a very long time and you've put a lot of time, love, effort, just a lot of different resources into this project, and you've been waiting for it to bear fruits. And November is all of a sudden the time, the month where you will be able to enjoy some of the fruit of your labor. But let's move further into your reading. In hand fasting, I see that there is a union here. I see something where 2 people are bound together, where maybe a group of people are bound together by either a very happy event or a very tragic event. So maybe you're celebrating something. Maybe it's somebody's birthday, maybe it's Thanksgiving. I don't know what it is that you celebrate or when you celebrate it, but there is sort of like a get together where you will be able to strengthen bonds between you and the people who you love and you care for. So take that opportunity and make sure that you remain very open. Another thing in union is maybe an engagement or a wedding. Maybe you're waiting to get proposed to, or somebody close to you has one of those events happening in their life. So be there to celebrate, be there to be the person who is giving them a good feeling about all the time, love, and energy that they've put into their relationship, to sort of be like that person's #1 cheerleader or your #1 cheerleader if you need to be. Then in Hex, one thing that I see is banishment. So banishment is very important. And I know it sounds really aggressive. It sounds like things are going on that are maybe not as positive as they could be, but let me tell you what, group number 1, sometimes you just need to banish certain people and energies from your life. There is no other way to put it, because if it's too negative, if it's too draining, if you feel like each time you come in contact with this person, you feel drained, you feel taken advantage of, you feel angry, then sometimes you need to banish people. And when it's family, obviously it's not that easy, but if it's just a distant friend or somebody who just always checks in when they need something from you, or if it's just a situation that you keep encountering at work, try and banish it, try and get rid of it, because you don't need it, group number 1. It's just negativity that is stopping you from reaching your highest potential and acquiring more love and happiness within your life. And that is just so not necessary and not the vibe for November of 2019. If it is family that is stressing you out, know that there are ways how you can keep somebody kind of like at arm's length and almost like reverse psychology the situation. And I know this sounds kind of like manipulative, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is just basically whenever they are good to you, when they're treating you with respect, when they're treating you with the same love and nurturing streak that you treat them, that is when you let them further in, and that is when you give them attention and when you show them that you want to spend time with them. But when the switch sort of flicks and they become nasty, or they start blaming you for things, or they just are not in a good space mentally, then try and give them a little bit of distance just so they can work it out themselves and not hurt you in the process. And it just may kind of signalize to them, this is what I mean with the reverse psychology, that like, oh, when I'm nice and kind, that is when I get more attention, and when I'm sort of letting all of my problems out on this person without just talking to them in a nice way, then they don't want to be around me. You get what I'm saying? I know it sounds really like, you guys understand. I'm not even going to start justifying things here. So then in broomstick, I see clearance. So clearance has to be done. You have to get rid of these old stale energies. It has everything to do with hex and the fact that you have to banish old things. But in clearance, there's a little more. There is a little more than just getting rid of things. There's also an element of purification. So sage your environment. Make sure that you cleanse your crystals and reuse them in order to charge the energy around you with positive vibes that you desperately need. Then in Archangel Michael, one thing that I see is that you're safe in November. I feel like something may have left you feeling unsafe. Maybe it is a relationship, or just maybe you live in a city that is not always the safest, but I want you to surrender those concerns. You are protected in November. The divine is keeping an eye on you and making sure that you're not getting into any situations that are dangerous or that would put you in a life-threatening spot. So allow yourself to just breathe in, breathe out confidently, and know that November is a month where you're not going to have to endure any substantial harm or anything like that. Then in Bridget, one thing that I see is your inner strength. So in November, there's going to be a shift in your strength. So maybe right now your strength is being used within this relationship that you still need to banish, just an example. Or maybe right now your strength is being used in a situation, say at work, or in a situation in your private life where you know, like, you could kind of shift your energy into taking more care of yourself and into something more positive. So if a lot of your energy is going into, say, tidying up or taking care of relatives, try and make sure that you're not draining yourself in the process and that you're not neglecting yourself. I want you to recognize that you have the power to give yourself the strength and just the care that you need at any time. And it's okay for you to call in a time out with friends or family when you just need time for yourself and you need space to take care of your needs. So don't be ashamed of that, group number one. That is so important for you and your mental health, of course. So then we have the Five of Wands. In the Five of Wands, I see some sort of friction. I see kind of like competition going on. So I feel like mentally, maybe you have a lot of competition. Maybe if you scroll through social media, you always feel not as good about yourself, or like you're competing with the people on there and it seems very unrealistic. And maybe in love, you're sort of competing for somebody's attention. And just listening to this, I'm sure that you realize that you're worth so much more than being in competition with either yourself or other people's fictitious lives online. But sometimes you just need somebody to say it out loud and to tell you that you're beautiful, and you don't need to feel like you're in competition with anything or anyone. And that is what I am here to do for you, group number one. Do not allow yourself to fall into that rabbit hole, into that downward spiral of feeling bad about yourself because of comparison, of feeling bad about yourself because maybe in love, somebody is stringing you along, or you feel like they're stringing you along, and you feel like they're just waiting to see if something better comes along, or if they're just going to settle for you. And that is a feeling that I feel we just have, that protrudes into our soul, that we just know when something is not right. We just know when we're maybe the second choice. And if that is a feeling that you have in any situation in life, try and slowly but surely wean yourself off of that relationship and find the door to get out, because it's not a good place to be in. If you end up still being in a relationship where you knew that maybe you were the second choice, even if they would never admit it, you will always feel sort of inferior. You will always feel less good about yourself than you should. And you should never do that for anybody. You need to make sure that your confidence stays up here, your standards stay up here, and that you don't sort of meet somebody whose standards are down here in the middle. Keep your standards high. You deserve it, group number one. Then in the Page of Cups, I see a new emotional beginning. So there could be a new relationship coming in here, as I see, in prosperity as well as the union. There could be new love, but most importantly, in the Page of Cups, there is a transition emotionally where you can feel a little bit more at ease and a little bit more grounded as soon as you banish all of these negative emotions. Then in the Two of Swords, you have to be instinctive with these decisions, and you have to make sure that these decisions come from a place of your intuition, come from a spot where your intuition is helping you make those choices. I see that, your eyes are sort of tied up. You're not quite sure which direction to go in, but a choice has to be made, and there is no further information being revealed in November. So you have to be the one to decide the right time and the right decision to make in these bigger choices that are coming up. Then in the Queen of Swords, I want you to be very clear of what you want. So especially for women, it can be very hard to say, for instance, that you feel like you need a raise or you feel like you're deserving of X, Y, and Z, because you are, but society has sort of trained us to not feel confident to ask for what we want. But in the Queen of Swords, I see that in November, you have the strength and the courage to ask for what you want. We have that here in Bridget. We have inner strength, and I want you to clear out, as we have in the broomstick, any emotions that make you feel embarrassed of asking for what you want. You should never be embarrassed to ask for what you want, group number one. Just move forward in a confident way, ask for what you want, and know that the worst thing that could happen is for somebody to say no, or for somebody to think about it. And that isn't really a life or death situation. Just think of all of the opportunities that may arise if you just asked, and there's now actually a possibility of you getting what you've always wanted, of you getting that raise, of you being able to start that business, of you being able to finally just join the course of your dreams, to just finally study whatever it is that you've been wanting to study. Just ask, just put it out there, just ask if you can get a transfer, if you can get a raise, if you can have help with starting your own venture. There's so many possibilities that come out of you just having the confidence and courage to ask. Don't deny yourself of it. Then in the Ten of Pentacles, I see a time of financial fulfillment. I see a time where your finances are in check. You're ready to go for Christmas, for the new year. Okay, I see that you're putting money aside more, like in a more smart way. And also your health is at a place where you can just enjoy feeling good about yourself. And another thing that I see is you feeling happy for other people. So this is a subject that not a lot of people like to talk about, but sometimes you can get jealous, especially on social media, of other people without even noticing it. But I see you sort of letting go of those emotions in November. You're very content with where you're at in life. You're very content with where you're going, and it just shows. It just shows, and people want to come to you for advice. People want to come to you because they trust you and because they can feel this sort of real maturity and groundedness that just sort of vibrates from your body. Then last but not least, we have the Seven of Swords. In the Seven of Swords, group number one, I want you to look out for any sort of deceit. I want you to look out for anybody who is not completely telling the truth. And in correlation to the banishment, as well as knowing that you're protected, I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to know that this is a sign. Also, the fact that you're still in this reading, that you tune into this reading, this is a sign for you to watch out for anybody who's telling half-truths or withholding information that they know is essential for you to know. Keep an eye out for that, as there might be somebody who is sort of like a snake, if you will, who is sort of like a faux friend. But just putting it out there, overall, I see that your month is very prosperous. I see that your month is going to be a productive month, as well as one where you sort of put away the competition, the thoughts of competition, and you just start to realize, okay, I'm just in competition with myself, with nobody else, and that is how I can truly thrive and move forward. So group number one, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. I hope that you feel motivated for November and that you're ready to start the month on a positive note. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in one of my upcoming readings. Hello, group number two, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the black tourmaline. Group number two, I want to get straight into your reading about what's going on in your life in the month of November. So first and foremost, we have the Lord/God. One thing that I see is masculine energy being channeled, masculine energy being needed. So I feel like there are a lot of decisions that need to be made. There is a lot of action going on where you need to step up, step forward, and make sure that you're the one in control, making those decisions that will affect your your life for a longer span of time. Do not let anybody else to make those decisions for you. Make sure that you're in control in order to ensure that you do not regret those decisions in the end. Because oftentimes when we let other people decide for us and things don't play out the way we want them to play out, we then start blaming the other person or blaming ourselves because we think to ourselves, I should have just made my own decision for myself. So I want you to protect yourself from that situation, as well as know that everybody has masculine as well as feminine energy within them, and sometimes you just need to balance out one a little more than the other. So let's move further into your reading. We have candles. One thing that I see in candles is magic. Candles are very much connected to magic, as well as help us say with rituals as well as manifestation. If you've been manifesting and you feel like your results haven't been where you'd like them to be, try and use candles within your manifestation. Also, the different colors of candles can make a difference when it comes to manifestation, and overall it is just a source where you can derive energy from during different rituals, manifestation, just things where you're trying to make sure that you get your head in the right mindset, as well as put the right energy into your environment. Use candles, put up candles in your house. If you've been feeling a little low energy, one thing that candles can also do is just infuse your environment and the rooms that you're in with that extra push of energy, where you just feel like there's literally more fire in the room, if you will. So then we have the High Priestess, or the High Priest. One thing that I see is responsibility. I see that November is going to come with a lot of responsibility that you maybe hold personally with your family, maybe at work. So you may be given an extra chore at work, or maybe you have to take care of somebody younger than you, a sibling, just someone who is less mature than you, or maybe at a point in their life where they need care. So this can obviously also be somebody a lot older than you. This could be a parent that is relying on you, where you have a lot of responsibility. Responsibility can also come with pets, it can also come with animals, and you may be adopting a new animal, may be a new stream of responsibility. Either way, I want you to know that responsibility can sometimes almost feel a little heavy on your heart. It can almost feel like there's a lot going on, and it can be hard to handle, especially if you're somebody that easily gets overwhelmed and anxious when they have a lot of tasks or a lot of responsibility, where they do not want to let other people down. And I want to talk to you about letting others down. So sometimes you're so fearful of letting others down that you let yourself down, because you forget about yourself and you forget to take care of yourself. And then in turn, you fall into the spiral where you don't feel good about yourself, where you feel insufficient, where you feel inadequate and almost like a bad person. So I want you to be aware of that. I want you to know that that is sort of a difficulty that you may face, trying to please everybody just because of who you naturally are as a person. But don't panic. I want you to know that everything's going to be okay. If you're not able to fulfill everybody's last wish, I mean, God, so be it, okay? It's more important for you to remain mentally sane, so you're still going to be here for future events and to help people in the future. Take care of yourself. Don't forget about yourself. So let's move further into your reading group number 2. So in November, we have hope. I see love and acceptance. I see that love is yours. Love stands really great chances in November for you. It's a very cozy month, maybe a month where you would like to cozy up next to someone new. But either way, I see that rediscovering your divine worth is something that is coming for you. You are going to choose to have more loving thoughts surrounding you instead of so many critical thoughts, because sometimes when you just criticize yourself all day long, you get used to it. You know, it becomes a habit where you're never happy with your performance, where you're never happy with anything that you do. But I see that in November, there's going to be this new sense of accomplishment where you're like, hey, actually this piece of work was great. Actually, this painting was amazing. So allow yourself to let those thoughts be at the forefront and to subconsciously reprogram your mind to choosing more loving thoughts instead of zooming in on the negative thoughts, because it's just human nature. For instance, if you go on a walk and 99% of the walk was amazing, on 1% of the walk you encountered somebody rude, you are most likely going to remember that rude encounter because it is human nature. But you can program your mind to focus only on the positive, but see how big of an impact one little negative thing can have on something that was overall so positive. Be aware of that. That is one thing that is super important for you. Then in Hilarion, one thing that I see is that you're going to be very sensitive for whatever reason. Maybe you're just going to have a month where, for instance, that time of the month is not easy to manage, or maybe somebody has just hurt your feelings or brought you to a point where you feel very sensitive. But I want you to know that being a sensitive soul is something to celebrate and is something to be proud of. It shows that you care, and it shows that you're an empath naturally. And you don't have to try to naturally support others. You're naturally a supportive person, naturally a caring person. So don't try and hide who you are in November, even if somebody is trying to make you feel like it's inadequate. Then we have the Holy Spirit. So in the Holy Spirit, you can expect miracles. You can expect amazing things happening to you in November. And remember that love is the only thing that is real. You know, money is something fictitious. We just made it up as a currency with which you can swap things, to gain material things, to gain stuff in the earthly realms. But no, only love and spirituality is something that is truly real, that is not just made up. It's not just a concept. Really actually being in your body in a way where you love yourself, where you love the people around you. That is something that you cannot fabricate. That is something that you cannot just exchange to get something else for it. If you are truly happy with yourself, the environment that you have around you, and the people around you, it just shows. It is just something that is undeniable, that you can feel, that is real. I know sometimes I say things that are a little bit confusing, but I do honestly feel like you guys really get my vibe and you get what I'm trying to say. Then in Lord Ganesh, we have infinite abundance. One thing that I see is that obstacles are being removed. So we already have like the fact that you can expect miracles. Then on top of that, we have obstacles just magically being removed. So maybe there was, for instance, an exam that is going to be moved a lot further so you can study a lot more. Maybe there was an obstacle, for instance, with a boss of yours that you really did not like that much, and you felt like they were an obstacle in your way to success, and all of a sudden they're going to quit, or they're going to leave the business for whatever reason. And I see that things that you see as an obstacle are all of a sudden going to slowly but surely dissolve, okay? One of your biggest obstacles is going to be gone. And I feel like it has a lot to do with this new energy that you're channeling. It has a lot to do with this masculine energy that just maybe is intimidating people in November, where they're like, okay, I gotta look out for her. Or they're like, okay, you know what? The energy in the room is different. And that can change things subconsciously. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that somebody that you don't like at your work is going to quit their job because you're coming into work with more masculine energy. All I'm trying to say is that the fact that you are able to step up and be a bigger presence is going to mean that there are less obstacles that feel comfortable within your energetic field. Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune. So group number 2 in the Wheel of Fortune is the fact that you can, to a certain extent, steer things in the direction that you want it to go. But I see that there may be some steps taken forward in November and then steps taken backwards to where you almost feel like you're at the same spot, which may be a little bit frustrating, especially in work or in your studies, whatever it is that you do. It may feel frustrating to put in a lot of effort, but feel like you're not really getting very far. So keep that in mind and don't feel discouraged. Then in the Ace of Pentacles, one thing that I see is a situation where it is a good opportunity to maybe just throw everything that you've known up until this point and that you've used out of the window and start a new chapter. So either in your finances or when it comes to your studies, maybe there's a certain way that you've been studying or that you've been managing your finances, and you know deep down in your heart that actually it's not even suiting you that well. Actually, it's not doing that much for you. Throw it out of the window and inform yourself about a new way to manage your finances and a new way to study more efficiently, because efficiency is something that I feel like needs a big upgrade with you, but you also need to learn to accept and heal from the fact that maybe you've been causing yourself more issues in the past than you've actually been helping yourself with the methods that you've been using. So be open to that sort of epiphany coming up for you. Then in the Two of Wands, I see kind of like duality duality here. I see that the world is in fact your oyster, and that is the feeling that is going to radiate through you, but at the same time you're worried that you're going to forget something. I see that on your way to the top, on your way to success, you're always kind of worried that you're going to forget about somebody, that you're going to forget something that is really important that's going to come and haunt you. And it's just kind of like this feeling of, okay, I want to move forward and I want to step up, but at the same time, I'm also a little bit worried about not doing things right. So group number 2, keep in mind that with great responsibility and also big dreams comes a lot of sort of obstacles, insecurities, fears, and those are things that you just have to overcome and get over, because at the end of the day, one is going to take over. Either you're going to achieve your dreams, goals, and aspirations, or your fears are going to be able to take over, but you decide which one it is. So take time to really think about what you want in your life. Then we have the 4 of Cups. In the 4 of Cups, I see you kind of missing somebody. I see you being in a situation emotionally where maybe love is causing you distress, or one of your relationships within your family is just going through a rough patch. But don't worry too much about that. It's not really something huge. It's not something that you cannot fix. Whereas in the King of Pentacles, I definitely feel like your focus now needs to be on things in the earthly realms. It needs to be on your job. It needs to be on your studies. It needs to be on that side hustle that needs extra love in order for you to get to the next level. I see that something could be upgraded. I mean, there is security here. There is good advice available for you at your fingertips, be it from somebody who you know who is successful, or from a podcast or book, or somebody that you look up to. But at the same time, I feel like your focus needs to be more on your routine, on becoming more successful. So how do you wake up each morning? What do you eat? Do you check your phone first thing, or do you meditate? Do you work out? Do you take care of yourself? Are you catapulting yourself to the most efficient as well as happy spot in your life, or are you sort of just meandering your way over there? That is one thing that I feel comes before any sort of like little petty dramas, because that is one thing that I see in the 4 of Cups. There could be a tendency to just like petty drama. There could be a tendency to gossip, but that is something that you should not indulge in. There's so many more important things coming up for you in November of 2019. I wouldn't want you to miss out on all the miracles, on all the abundance that you can just grab, just because you're focusing on something that is just not even that important. So group number 2, this is a reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. If you feel more prepared for your upcoming month, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, and I hope that you could take some motivation as well as inspiration from my video, and I will see you in one of my upcoming readings. Hello group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Amethyst group number 3, really? You chose the Amethyst group number 3, and I want to move straight into your reading. So first and foremost, we have the Herbal Kitchen and the Alchemist. So one thing that I see for you in November of 2019 is kind of doing things your own way, okay? The Alchemist is one who mixes, matches potions together, also kind of like inventive, if you will. So I see that you have to create a new path to abundance, love, and more happiness, and you just have to do it your way. You have to use your little ingredients for success, if you will. So if you know that you'll be more successful if you eat more healthily, or if you work on your marriage or relationship, then do that. If you know that you'll be more successful if you give yourself more time for self-care, self-love, you take that bath and you just relax a little bit, then do more of that. But do not cripple your productivity as well as your success just because you're trying to constantly be busy and constantly keep up with everything that goes on. What is truly important for you in November is to mix up your own potion and concoction for success, because we're all different and we all thrive in different ways. So moving further into your reading, we have Maven. One thing that I see is a balance. Balance needs to be restored. I feel like right now things are out of balance in your life. Maybe you're using way too much energy on work, or just basically in places where your energy does not belong. Maybe your wardrobe is total chaos, and each morning it takes you a really long time to get dressed because it's hard for you to find things. It's hard for you to stay organized, and that is where you really need to work on those things that seem so little but yet take up so much space in your head and your life. Just imagine each morning, obviously just an example, spending say 30 minutes looking for an outfit, or 20 minutes. And the same goes for your makeup. Maybe you're never sure really what to do, or you keep smudging your mascara, or maybe your hairstyle just takes a long time. I want you to be more efficient and to not use so much time in those areas that at the end of the day don't really matter that much. Because if you're able to, for instance, clean up your closet, have a good routine for your makeup or your hair, you will be able to start each morning more efficiently with less energy being used on such little things, and you being able to have more energy for spiritual growth, for your work, and everything that you would like to accomplish. Then one thing that I see is intensification. So in Litha, I see that things are really brewing up in November. I see that things are going to start to get to a point where you know things are about to pop. So with pop, I mean, for instance, things about to all of a sudden burst at your work, or when it comes to a side hustle. Maybe you feel like soon there's going to be a surge in customers, a surge in work. Maybe there's also a situation in love or just with a relationship where things have been brewing, where you've been feeling worked up and you feel like things are soon going to explode. But one thing with Litha is the fact that you cannot always avoid it. Sometimes this is just human nature. Just like in nature, there are, volcanoes where there is a lot of energy that just like stores itself until it just can't anymore, and then there's this huge explosion. And that is one thing that can happen in life as well. Life is not without suffering. There is no life that comes without any sort of hardships or suffering. And sometimes intensification is just that stage before everything boils over. But remember that when things boil over, like it's happened, it's not brewing up anymore, you're not tense anymore. So sometimes you just need to allow this intensification to happen in hopes that this big bang will just resolve everything and bring things back into balance, if you will, because we did talk about you needing to rebalance, which may have everything to do with this situation right here. But let's move further into your reading. We have Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin, I see that you have to choose to still be loving and compassionate in this situation, especially if it is something that has to do with a relationship that is slowly but surely reaching its breaking point. You have to know that everybody deserves love and compassion is not just you saying like, oh, I accept everyone. It is you actually truly accepting people and their life's choices. That is an important part of compassion, accepting other people's choices and way of life, and knowing that you can still offer a helping hand even if you're not 100% in tune with their vibrations or what they believe is real. Because just offering that helping hand can sometimes inspire them to think a little more like you, to have a little more compassion with you. Then we have Hilarion. One thing that I see in Hilarion is the fact that sensitivity, heightened sensitivity is happening next month for you in November, but sensitivity could actually be literal sensitivity. Maybe you have a little bit more sensitivity, say in your teeth, maybe a little more sensitivity with your stomach, and I want you to not feel like you're being sensitive about it. I want you to actually look into the cause of this sensitivity. So the cause of emotional sensitivity or physical sensitivity, because if you let it brew for too long, it may result in a situation that will be a lot harder to resolve or to actually be able to fix than if you had just figured out what the cause for your emotional or physical sensitivity was in the first place. Then we have faith. In faith, I see humanity as well as benevolence is at the top of your priority list in November. I see that you're trying to regain your trust in others as well as in the good. So whatever has happened to you in the past, I see you slowly working through it. And I see a situation where you can start to see the light in the world again. And this may have to do with somebody showing you that humanity is actually not lost. So maybe you met a stranger, or there's a friend of yours who just keeps reminding you that good people do exist. Maybe it's also a pet that is just showing you that you are worthy of love and that you're capable of being loved. Either way, allow those emotions in instead of just, purely being sensitive and purely being kind of like on edge with this intensification. Try and remain calm. That is one thing that faith is all about. And if you need to, just focus a little bit on your breath, focus on meditation and ways how you can calm yourself. There are also certain herbs that you can ingest just to make you feel calmer and more at ease. Then we have Lord Ganesh. And Lord Ganesh, one thing that I see here is abundance coming your way, but At the same time, I want you to also know that abundance does not always need to mean just more money or more things. Sometimes abundance means the freedom to choose. And that is one thing that I feel within your reading group number 3. I feel like you will be able to choose the path that you want to go down. And it has a lot to do with the herbal kitchen and the fact that you can start to do things your way. You can start to sort of mix how life tastes according to your own wishes. So take advantage of that and make sure that you don't let anyone, put in their extra spice into your pot, if you will. And we have the 9 of Pentacles. And the 9 of Pentacles, I see you have to lean back a little bit, okay? Especially when it comes to your work, especially when it comes to whatever it is that you do for a living. Maybe right now you're a student and that is what you're focusing on, but you have to relax a little bit. I see that you've put in a lot of work, you've put in a lot of dedication, and you're maybe a little bit too much on edge. And if you're on edge at, say, your workplace and you have a personal situation that's brewing over, it's just going to be way too much to handle, group number 3. So allow yourself to lean back a little bit when it comes to the work that you're doing, when it comes to what occupies you all day long. And in Judgment, I see this sort of tendency to be a little bit hard on yourself and situations, and things need to be brought back into balance, as we have already discussed. And balance is one thing that can be acquired by you just letting things happen and not intervening so much. And that is one thing that I feel like you need to do here. You need to just let your body feel however it feels, but don't intervene too much. Don't try and get in between what is inevitably going to happen, especially here in this situation that is just becoming more and more tense and is ready to blow up or come to a point where things can actually be worked on. Let it happen. Don't get in between, because you may just drag out the process a lot more. Then in the Devil, there is an end coming, okay? This intensification is going to pop in November, okay? There is not going to be any more time for you to waste, sit back, wait for this to brew. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, okay? I see it in the Devil, and you're just going to have to deal with it, but it's going to come with a fresh start and a fresh beginning. So if you're struggling in a relationship, it's going to come with a clean slate. If you're struggling at your work, it's maybe going to come with a change of job where you feel like, wow, I should have done this a long time ago because I'm so much happier now. Maybe there's also an argument within love that you have where it's going to result in a breakup or a reconciliation where things can just start off zesty again. You know what I'm saying? Like, give things a chance. Then in the 10 of Pentacles, we have a time of fulfillment in the earthly realms. Your health going in a good place, also your finances looking good. You're able to enjoy the fruit of your labor if you allow yourself to, and you're able to allow other people to have a good time. You're not judging. Then we have Horus. So in Horus, we have the Cosmic Gateway, and last but not least, we have Brigid, which stands for inner strength. So one thing that I see is definitely that your inner strength has a lot to do with your mental outlook. Any sort of difficulties that you have, group number 3, I want you to know that you can overcome those difficulties by reprogramming your mental state. I feel like maybe your mind is very much focused on self-sabotaging. Maybe your mind is not as focused on the positive things and on love as it could be. And I want you to know that your thoughts attract things into your life, because where your mind resides the most is what you think about the most, where your action goes towards, even if it is subconsciously, and what then in turn you manifest and draw into your life. So if you spend a lot of time being angry, being annoyed, just with something that is not going well, know that that will most likely only bring more of that emotion into your life. So if you want to truly change things, group number 3, see that in November, the universe is urging you to reconsider your thoughts, to reconsider where you put your energy into, which basket you put your energy into, because that is where you can all of a sudden channel miraculous changes. Just seeing things from a relentlessly kind, loving viewpoint, seeing things from constant care and compassion is what will completely change your life in November. So group number 3, I truly hope that you enjoyed this reading and that you found it insightful as well as motivational. If you did, let me know down below, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello group number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Tiger Eye. Group number 4, I'm going to move straight into your reading about November of 2019. So let's see what we have. We have the Hearth. One thing that I see is homecoming. I see that your home life is very, very important in November. Maybe there are a lot of celebrations that you're going to be having with your family, with your friends, where they're just get-togethers, where the feeling is warm, just kind of this sense of togetherness that you cannot compare to any other time of the year. So November is a time of celebration where you can also just let yourself be more human, if you will. And by being more human, I mean just following your instinct. If you want to have that extra potato, if you want to have that extra ice cream, you know what? Just get around the fireplace with your friends and family, relax, and don't think so much about, you know, the actions that you're taking when it comes to, for instance, food, when it comes to fitness. You deserve to have a little bit of time where you don't need to worry about that. I know self-care has everything to do with actually making the right choice for you, but sometimes your body just needs a little bit of extra fat. Sometimes your body just needs a little bit of extra lying around and being a couch potato. So allow your body to have that as well, even if it's not like the most clean way of self-care, if you will. I definitely see that this is what is necessary. Then in the Watchtower of the South, we have summer. I feel like you're still sort of mentally, emotionally in summer. You just cannot believe that winter is coming. You cannot believe that we're already this far into the year, and honestly, neither can I. But I want you to sort of take all the good parts of summer with you into this new chapter of the year and allow those to radiate. So that feeling of basking in the light, of just being happy, and being happy also to be out in the nature. Try and still get some time outdoors, even if the weather is not ideal where you live, even if things are not as nice as they were in summer. Try and still get yourself out there, and don't neglect your need, your basic human need of being a little bit more one with the nature than just being in a concrete jungle, working and being on your smartphone, etc. Then we have the Lord/God. We have masculine energy. I want you to know, group number 4, that your masculine energy is one thing that is going to be coming out in November, and something may trigger this energy to come out. You know how, for instance, if an animal, a friend, or somebody younger and helpless is in danger, all of a sudden a completely different side comes out of you. And that is what I feel that we have here for you, group number 4. I feel like you're the kind of person who, you know, you're all cool and chill until somebody gets hurt, until an innocent being is in trouble, and then all of a sudden things change. And that just says a lot about you, and also a lot about where you derive your masculine energy from. So there is definitely a situation where you're going to act, be it to help somebody else or to help yourself, where all of a sudden that energy of just basically like giving back in a way where you're like, no, this is not happening, like pushing energy back is going to happen. So November may tire you out a little bit if this is a situation that arises multiple times, but if it's a one-time thing, know that you're doing the right thing, using your energy to protect a living being or just a part of yourself that otherwise would just be suffering under somebody else's reign or somebody else's influence. So group number 4, doing the right thing. I feel like you're unstoppable when it comes to that. Then we have Dwell Cool. And Dwell Cool, one thing that I see is that you have to remember where you came from and remember that you're on a predestined kind of path right now. So I definitely believe that there is a purpose for you here. There is a reason why you're here. There's some things that you're really good at that the world would benefit from you just showcasing a lot more. And in Dwell Cool, the universe is urging you to remember what that is. The universe is also urging you to remember where you came from and where you started. And if you feel like you haven't come that far, just remind yourself, like, you had to learn so many things that you have been able to learn and accomplish to get to this point. Even things as simple as walking, talking, reading, writing, those are all skills that had to be acquired. Those are all things that took a lot of time and energy, and any sort of education that you've already been able to enjoy, any sort of education or work that you've been able to put onto your resume. Those were all amazing opportunities, and I want you to know that you have to take one step at a time. Those were just stepping stones. Just because you're not the CEO of your huge empire yet does not mean that those stones were not important for you to step on and to surpass, because there are a lot of people who started off really tiny, who started off at a point where the odds were stacked against them, and they still were able to use those experiences and everything that they have been through to their advantage to then make sure that they actually succeed on their path to where it is that they know that they're going. But let's move further into your your reading. We have Mary Magdalene, and Mary Magdalene, I see that something important is going to be shared with you in November. I feel like you already have an idea of what this is. This could be a family secret. Maybe it could be a love confession. I'm not completely sure what it is, but it definitely has to do with something that lights you up, that you feel passionate about. We have a lot of red. Maybe it is a fire sign that is going to be letting you know about this, because in her as well as Mary Magdalene, I see very fiery energy. I see energy where I'm sure that either you or the person delivering this message is of a fire sign, and it's important for you to listen. It's important for you to not allow your emotions to take over and to just take that information in, because the information is important. And even if it may make you emotional, try to not let your emotions get the best of you. Then we have Freya. And Freya, we have phases and cycles. I want you to keep in mind that with every ending, there is a beginning, okay? And illusions are going to be revealed with this piece of information that is going to be brought to you. So this piece of information is information that is all of a sudden going to make you think like, wow, okay, this person is actually who I thought they were, or this person is not who I thought they were. Wow, this situation is actually great, or this situation is actually really not cool. And I just want you to know that it's always better for you to have illusions to be revealed and released, so you're not holding on to false hope or a false truth, even if it's hurtful at the time, even if it's not easy to deal with in the moment. It's better for the long run. Then we have the Lady Nada. In the Lady Nada, I definitely see that just a new awakening to acceptance as well as divine love, being able to give and receive in balance. So just accepting the fact that, for instance, if you are a woman, you know, the female energy is the energy that should be able to receive. That is the energy that naturally is receiving. And I want you to allow that to happen. If you're somebody who cannot stand getting compliments, if you're somebody who doesn't like getting help or being the one who asks for help, you need to let go of that, okay? And that often has a lot to do with ego as well, and it can be hard to admit to yourself. I know this from personal experience, but you have to, because giving and receiving has to happen in balance, and right now it is not in balance. I feel like there are people in your life who may be taking advantage of you and how willing you are to give but not receive in return. So put those people to the test and see what they're made of. See if they're truly your friends, your family, the people who they say they are, or if as soon as you actually want something in return or are able to receive something in return, whether they all of a sudden pull back. You know, people continuously surprise us. Let's just put it that way. Then in the Page of Cups, I see that there may be a situation that is difficult for you to deal with emotionally, that you're not sure how to deal with, and this may have to do with Lady Nada and the Heart Awakening. So maybe somebody that you thought had your purest intentions at heart, you will all of a sudden notice that, wow, maybe I have a narcissistic parent or an egotistical sibling that I never even knew that this is how they really were. And I want you to just relax. Group number 4, you know, everybody has their good parts, everybody has their parts where they're lacking in, and it may be hard for you to deal with because it's just such an eye-opener where you're like, oh my God, I've been living with a lie this entire time. I thought this person had my back this entire time, but really they don't. And it can be really hard to process, but give yourself the time to process, as well as know that focusing on things in the earthly realms is a great distraction, because I see if you don't, in the 5 of Swords, that there is a situation where you may just end up crying a lot, being very sad, being by yourself in your room, in your apartment, and you're just kind of like, oh, is everybody like this? Does anybody even care about me genuinely? And those are like the kind of toxic thoughts that may start to go through your mind, which I don't want you to allow into your energetic space, just because you will be blocking out abundance that is clearly here and ready to go. So in the 6 of Pentacles, I see an easier situation of being able to receive. I see that it is so much easier for you to just basically open up your wallet and have money fly in November of 2019. So, okay, I made it sound really, really easy. If you just open up your wallet right now, nothing's gonna fly in there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for making you feel that way, but what I'm trying to say is that with less work, with less sort of you putting in time, you will still have the same or more rewards as if you put in the amount of work that you usually put in. So what I want you to do is not put in less work in November in the earthly realms, is not put in less in your school or in your work or, you know, in your freelancing job, whatever it is that you do. Don't put in less work. Use this amazing energy to put in more work, to put in more dedication, more time, so you can reap bigger benefits instead of reaping the same benefits with less work. Because honestly, you have it in you to get to the next stage. You have it in you to know that on this path, each little bit of prosperity is a stepping stone and just will bring you to the next level. So why stay on the next level and save, you know, that little bit of energy when you could just put in more energy, know that things are flowing well, and actually make big changes in your life. So moving further into your reading in the Ace of Swords, I see new ideas being born. I see your brain being super hyperactive in November and you being able to really capture all of those cool ideas. So keep a journal with you. Make sure that you have your notes on ready on your phone where you can write down amazing ideas that may have an effect on your life in the long run. Another thing that I see is maybe just a new awakening to a situation where you're like, wow, I can't believe I was stressing out about my looks. I was stressing out about this relationship when really it's not that big of a deal. So I see a new sort of sense of relaxation, as well as just overall in the Ace of Swords, kind of like a communicative fresh start. So maybe you're going to change how you speak to people about certain things because you've realized you get better results when you speak to people in a certain way. So using things to your advantage, and just I see a lot of like intelligence, a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of just academic intelligence, just intelligence overall. Whatever kind of field of intelligence we're talking about, I see that your brain is really doing things in November, so use that to your advantage. Then last but not least, we have the World. Group number 4, I want you to know in the World that there is just overall fulfillment and completion, and after November, you know what, it's time for a new cycle. It's time for a new thing. I see that maybe you've been hanging around in the same spot for too long. I see that maybe your next stepping stone awaits, but you've been too afraid to take that leap, to take that next step forward. And in the World, it's just very clear that things are all fine and dandy in November, but they could be even better. They could be even bigger. You can actually create a more happy and satisfying world for yourself if you just take the steps to plan for your future, if you make sure that you're already starting to look forward, all while still enjoying what is going on right now, as well as throughout November of 2019. So group number 4, this is a reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you found it insightful, maybe a little motivational and inspirational. If you did, let me know that in the comment section, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos.